Sue, are you awake?
Just about. What time is it? 4:30?
Oh my God.
People say that we are peculiar, but we are not. We want to live in not the same system. We don't like the competition. And we don't like the challenge between people. That if somebody is against you, you have a challenge to beat him. We don't like it. We think that's a waste of time, it's a waste of life. The main challenge is the human challenges. The challenge is to create things together, because if you are alone, you are nothing.
All over the world, cooperative societies have been attempted. In America, China, Russia and Japan. Perhaps most successful has been the development of the kibbutzim of Israel. The kibbutz communes have provided a foundation for the Jewish nation in Palestine. Established as outposts in hostile border regions and the most inhospitable areas of a neglected, desolate land, they have multiplied and prospered. This kibbutz, in the hills of Upper Galilee, overlooking the border with Lebanon, was founded in 1948 by a group of 20 young socialists. Among them was Yankele Zohar.
We started from nothing, with no know-how, without experience. We came from the city, but we have one thing, the ambition to succeed and to do something from the beginning, good, a new kind of life, new system, to build something here in our land. On a hill like this, we started. Stony, bare, without trees, hard climate, no place to build. We were very young. Well, all of us wasn't even 20 years old. And we want from the beginning to change our life from a city system or capitalistic system, or let's say the system that our parents live in, some new value. And the new value is the kibbutz. No one system in the world can give to a man to decide so much about himself. You know, all the anti-communists are hating kibbutz, because kibbutz is the real communism. It's the communism without the name of Russia, of course. But if you take the idea of communism, it's kibbutz.
Kibbutz communism is the creation of an independent community based on cooperative equality and democracy. Each kibbutz member works for the collective and in return receives all housing, food, educational and medical needs. Young or old, no one receives any wages or has any individual wealth. Everything here is owned by the group. There is no status, class or hierarchy. There are 26 different nationalities among the 400 kibbutzniks: young idealists, Zionist settlers, refugees from Nazi Europe, or visitors who've just stayed on. Life is now a commitment to one close-knit community. To the outsider, it's incredible to think that these people will eat every meal, every day, with the same people in the same room for the rest of their lives. Childcare and education on the kibbutz is one of the most controversial aspects of this extraordinary group-orientated environment. At the age of only 3 months, a child is moved from its parents' home to sleep in a communal children's house, looked after by other kibbutz members. Brought up in Scotland, Winnie Enbar is seeing her children experience a very different upbringing from her own.
We had one child in 1980, Jonathan, who's now 3, and he's in the children's house with 6 other kids. He lives with 6 other kids. My second child's just been born in June, and she's almost ready to go into the baby's house. In fact, this week she's going in.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that I don't agree with, but over the years have adapted to. It's a little bit hard. You have to press it well.
In such a close community, even those who don't get on together are inextricably bonded by the need for mutual understanding. Like most of the well-established kibbutzim in Israel, the collective farm here has proved very productive. Today, Israel's 260 kibbutzim, though accounting for only 3% of the population, produce 40% of the country's gross agricultural output. How can it be that against all the Western principles of competition and capital gain, these communes not only survive, but are successful?
You see, the democracy we call it in kibbutz is a direct democracy. It means that everybody has the opportunity to reach the decisions. But the main thing that democracy, the apply of democracy in kibbutz is the responsibilities, not the decisions. The democracy in kibbutz started from the bottom. The bottom is that you have no rights, not special rights, whatever you are and whatever you are doing. So if you have no special rights, the question is how the society take decisions and how the individual or a group of people influence these decisions.
At the weekly general meeting, all decision-making on the kibbutz, whether affecting an individual or the group, has to be discussed and decided upon democratically.
You know, there is no connection between majority and right. Majority and minority is only a system to run something, to decide. You have not another system. So if you have to decide, you say, well, the majority will decide. You cannot be sure that it's the right decision. We are not the same people, we are very different, and we have to meet together and to find a way to come to a solution. So this is democracy.
But how does this democracy translate into equality in everyday life?
When we speak about equality in kibbutz, we don't think that people are equal. We are not equal, we are different. But we have the equal opportunities.
This equality of opportunity is maintained by regular job rotation. For example, Moshele has been elected manager of the kibbutz cotton fields for 2 years. Afterwards, he will step down and work as a farmhand again.
Michael, please turn off.
The management in the cotton field or any branch in a kibbutz, it's not like any other places that the manager is in a higher standard than everyone else. He is the one who's taking care or responsible to taking care or to connect between the people, between the different jobs, and like taking care of the whole thing together. But mostly his job is to organize the people, to set up the time to go to work, to come back for work, to give the direction.
Okay, Michael, shut please the main valve, then we clean filter 1, 2 and 3.
Okay, 1,000 cubes?
Yes, please.
For the manager, there are no higher wages or benefits, but he must take on the job's responsibilities and accept open criticism from other members.
The problem in kibbutz is not the relations between manager and simple labor. The problem in kibbutz is to live with the criticism. Because you find is free to criticize you, and you have to hear it. Even you are the manager, because he is equal to you. If he is right, it's very difficult.
If accepting criticism, so alien to Western thinking, is so fundamental to cooperative living, what kind of person makes a successful kibbutznik?
The choosing of the commune way of life, I like it. That's it. And if you don't like it, it will not help if you will read all these books and you will study and you will say, well, it have to be and it's justice and all that doesn't work, because after a while, a year or two, you have a crisis and all these reasons are collapse. You need some basic things. One of them is to like the system. If you are individualist, it will not work. It will not work. You can suffer. You can say, well, I am very good, I am the right man because it's hard for me, but I manage. We don't like people like this. And it's not a coincidence that so few are living in kibbutz. Only for outsider who came from one and say, well, you have no cares. You have food, you have clothes, you have everything. It's so wonderful. It's not wonderful. You have to think that this is the right way to live. Because now, in these days that everybody is traveling, to settle and not to move, it's not so normal, let's say, in the West world. And you have to not to move, because if you move, there is will not be a kibbutz.
Probably 2/3 of today's Jewish population of Israel have at some time lived on a kibbutz collective. In the tense national struggle to establish Israel's identity and existence as the Jewish homeland, the kibbutzim took root and fulfilled a vital economic as well as defensive role. But ironically, their own economic success has led to major criticism from outsiders. How can these communes continue their socialist ideology of equality and democracy when the huge amounts of money they are making have led to dramatic changes in their society? For instance, this kibbutz, like many others, voted democratically to invest their profits in a move to industry, building a factory within their agricultural settlement.
It's easier to make commune in agriculture because the system of work, not big differences between people at all. You know, you start when the sun rises, you finish when the sun sets, and it's very similar. When you are going to factory, you have very huge differences between the manager and the simple labor. You have only few that can run the factory from, let's say, from the professional point of view, and you need many people who will be not skilled. So we take a dangerous step of system of life. We were afraid about these problems.
The problem of preserving equal opportunity in specialized industry is resolved by giving all members the option to learn technical skills outside the kibbutz. But industrialization is only one aspect. The fundamental criticism from outside is that prosperity itself is threatening to undermine the original ideals of equality, democracy, and independence.
When we started, we didn't thought that ideologically we have to be poor. What we thought ideologically, that we don't have to take money from foreigners or from outside our system. We thought that we have to be independent. It's our life. We shall do what we think that we have to do. If we shall succeed, we shall have money, and then we shall decide what to do with our money. The system is that everybody gives to the commune, to the society, how much he can, and he gets how much the society can give.
Kibbutz society is not isolated by its independence. Every year, young people from all over the world come to try the way of life, working as unpaid voluntary labor, For the kibbutz, this usefully bridges the gap between their ideal of independence and the more practical need for a supply of seasonal help at harvest time.
And let's go down.
Some of them, they may come from ideology. You know, young people, always young people like to see different things, different societies, and kibbutz, it's unique society.
I think the kibbutz is an alternative way of life to a certain extent because it is a certain sort of cop-out away from the pressures and the rat race.
Yeah, but it's a realistic cop-out. It's working.
I was interested in the politics mainly, and the way of life, and the way that people could live together so closely in a community.
I like the life here and the atmosphere because everybody is equal.
I don't think there is a place for the individual on the kibbutz, only to a certain extent. And also you can't progress. I mean, you're given your house. You can't work hard, save up for a nicer one. You can't achieve very much. It's all for the good of the kibbutz.
Mm-hmm. So overall,
I'm not too greedy.
I think all the volunteers think it's fantastic for now, but I don't think it's that good forever.
This involvement is good for us. It's good for us because we can see other people, we can talk with them, we can see the bad and the good, even good. We don't want that kibbutz will be an isolated society.
I've learnt a lot. Just living in the country, you learn a lot. Also about the kibbutz way of life, I always thought I would like to be a kibbutznik. I've changed my mind very rapidly. It's too close, and I wouldn't like to live here at all.
External criticism is not the only problem. Yankele Zohar and his fellow idealists have successfully created their own communal way of life. But internal argument and concern centers around the future. How will the second and third generations influence the society that has been created for them? For example, will this young couple being married today support the controversial system of child raising?
I think that the main problem, not only in the kibbutz, the main problem of the humankind is the education. If we shall fail in this field, all the kibbutz, all this kind of life will disappear. The main thing is not the adult who take care. The main thing is that the children have to live and to deal with problems of their own age as a group, as a society, and to live together. That's it. So this is the idea in the commune education. We have many problems in this system because the human factor.
Jonathan, for me, sometimes doesn't feel like my own child. I think that's just me, though. That's my feelings. I feel a stranger to him sometimes because here on kibbutz, at 4 o'clock the child comes home and then goes back to the children's house to sleep. It's very difficult to adapt to.
In their parents' house they have few hours every day pure parents' attention. I don't know many societies in the world that they have so many hours of parents' attention.
This system of children sleeping separate from their parents and being cared for by other group members so much of the time has caused much controversy and argument, creating a conflict between family life and the upholding of the commune structure. Some kibbutzim are abandoning the separate children's houses for more conventional individual family homes.
Do you want to go now?
Okay, be a good girl. See you at 1.
Ironically, the initiators of this major social upheaval are largely those who were themselves brought up in the children's house system.
I know it's very important group work for the child to relate to other children so early. It's good. But on the other hand, sometimes I feel that I would like my child just to be alone as well, to be able to develop his own personality alone. I see the kibbutz kids here, when they finish the high school and they're ready to go into the army, they suddenly find themselves on their own. And it's difficult for them in the beginning.
After national service, kibbutz youth can choose whether to leave or continue their parents' creation. Some estimates say the communes are losing as many as 50% of their young to the lure of the outside world.
As soon as every kibbutz son or young man from the kibbutz finish the army, you need to choose. Now, what I choose, I stay here 1 year, and in November I'm going to leave the kibbutz. It's not because I don't like the kibbutz or I have something against the kibbutz. I like the kibbutz way of living very much, really. I agree with the idea and everything. But I want to see more. I want to check another possibility before I decide that here I want to live all my life.
Initially a society created by young idealists, the kibbutz is now an aging society in a changing world. The young generation today are being born into rich and well-established communities. But kibbutz ideology invites change. The real fear of the original founders is how those young who decide to stay could elect to radically change their way of life.
The question about the future is a very hard one, because we don't know. We have no recipe how you make the future, let's say, more stable, and we shall be sure that our second generation will follow us. I want to influence, of course, but I know of sure that they will have to decide what will be. I'm not looking for a fight between generations. Because we believe that our choosing to live in a kibbutz was a good choosing, and we made it freely, without any force, we want that our second generation will be able to choose it, free. So how we make it? We learn them and we give them whatever we can about our life, about our other system, about the other nations, other countries, and we don't. They don't study in kibbutz profession. No profession in kibbutz. Only classic studies. Only let's say common to study and to be able later on to decide. So the main task is to create a human being that he have a open mind to get things to his ability to think about it and to decide what is good, what is wrong, what is nice, what is not so nice, and to choose. We think that's the only way how these youngsters will decide to be in kibbutz. So what you see here, we have done it the best that we could. If it's good, it's ours. If it's bad, it's also ours. So we shall not blame anybody about the bad things here, and there are some disadvantages here. But if you see here something good, it's also ours. We have done it, and we are proud.
To create their ideal of a free and democratic society, the kibbutzniks have had to take the risk that future generations could, by their democratic right, choose to destroy the original creation.